Commander Vexthor stood on the bridge of the Harmonious Dawn and stared at the blue planet ahead. Earth looked peaceful from this distance. White clouds swirled over green continents and vast oceans. It was beautiful. It was also doomed. "Commander, we are receiving multiple transmissions from the planet's surface," his communications officer reported. The young Zentari's head tentacles twitched nervously. "They are asking about our purpose here." Vexthor's scaled fingers drummed against his command console. His species, the Crithians, had seen many worlds fall to the Devourer swarm. Each time it was the same story. Civilizations that thought themselves safe were consumed in days, sometimes hours. The humans had no idea what was coming for them. "Open a channel to their planetary government," Vexthor ordered. "Use the standard first contact protocols." The view screen shifted. A human woman appeared. She wore a simple dark suit and her black hair was pulled back neatly. Her eyes were calm as she looked directly at Vexthor. The name displayed below her image read, Park Ji-won, United Defense Committee Representative. "Greetings, Commander Vexthor," Park Ji-won said in perfect Galactic Common. Her pronunciation was flawless. "We welcome the Galactic Coalition to Earth's solar system. How may we assist you?" Vexthor felt surprise ripple through him. The humans had learned Galactic Common already? The intelligence reports said they were primitive, barely 2 centuries into space travel, still fighting wars among themselves over resources and territory, yet this woman spoke like a seasoned diplomat. "Representative Park, I wish our meeting were under better circumstances," Vexthor began. He pulled up a holographic display and transmitted it to Earth. 3 days ago, our deep space sensors detected a Devourer swarm heading toward your system. They will arrive in approximately 72 hours. Park Ji-won's expression did not change. She glanced at something off-screen, then returned her attention to Vexthor. "We appreciate the warning, Commander. Can you provide us with detailed information about this threat?" Vexthor exchanged glances with his tactical officer, Kale. The young Zentari looked puzzled. Most species panicked when they learned about the swarm. They begged for help. They scrambled to evacuate. This human woman seemed merely curious. "The Devourer swarm is an extinction-level threat," Vexthor explained carefully. "They are a collective of biomechanical organisms that consume all organic matter on a planet. They strip worlds down to bare rock. In the past 2 centuries, they have destroyed 47 civilizations. No one has ever successfully stopped them." "I see," Park Ji-won replied. She nodded slowly. "And the Coalition's purpose here is to help us?" "We are offering immediate evacuation," Vexthor said. "Our fleet can transport your most essential personnel. Scientists, artists, historians, children. We can save perhaps 10 million of your people. I know it is not many compared to your total population, but—" "That will not be necessary, Commander," Park Ji-won interrupted gently. "Earth will handle this matter ourselves." Silence fell across the bridge of the Harmonious Dawn. Every crew member stared at the view screen. Handle it themselves? These humans had projectile weapons and primitive fusion drives. The swarm had devastated species with technology 1,000 years more advanced. "Representative Park," Vexthor said slowly, "I do not think you understand the severity of this situation. The Devourer swarm cannot be reasoned with. They cannot be stopped by conventional weapons. Every species that has tried to fight them has been eliminated." "We understand perfectly, Commander," Park Ji-won assured him. Her voice remained calm and steady. "However, we have protocols in place for this type of scenario. We thank you for your offer of assistance, but we must respectfully decline." Vexthor felt his crest flatten against his skull in frustration. This was madness. The humans were committing suicide through ignorance. "At least allow us to establish defensive positions around your planet," he pressed. "Our ships can buy you time. Perhaps delay the swarm long enough for partial evacuation." Park Ji-won consulted with someone off-screen again. When she turned back, there was something in her eyes that Vexthor could not identify. It might have been amusement, or perhaps pity. "Commander, your fleet is welcome to maintain its current position," she said. "However, I would recommend keeping at least 1 million kilometers from Earth's orbital space, for safety reasons." "Safety?" Vexthor repeated. "Representative, the swarm is the danger here, not us." "Of course," Park Ji-won agreed smoothly. "I will transmit our threat analysis data to your ship. Perhaps it will help you understand our position better. If you will excuse me, I need to coordinate with our defense teams. Please contact us again if you need anything, Commander." The transmission ended before Vexthor could respond. Tactical Officer Kale approached his commander's station. "Sir, that was highly irregular. Do you think the humans are in denial? Perhaps their psychology cannot accept the reality of extinction." "Pull up everything we know about Earth," Vexthor ordered. "Full intelligence report." Data streamed across the view screen. Earth's history was violent. Humans had fought countless wars among themselves. They had developed nuclear weapons while still confined to their home planet. They had nearly destroyed their own world several times through conflict and environmental damage. But in the past 200 years, something had changed. They had unified. Established space colonies on their moon and Mars, sent exploration ships to the outer planets. "They are a young species," Vexthor observed. "Aggressive, yes. Dangerous to themselves, certainly. But they have no experience with external threats. They do not understand what exists beyond their small corner of space." "Commander, sensors are detecting something odd," the science officer called out. "I am scanning Earth's moon and Mars. There are unusual readings, massive power signatures, but the structures generating them are not visible." "Could it be their infrastructure?" Kyle suggested. "Perhaps their colonies require more power than we estimated." Vexthor studied the data. The power readings were enormous, far beyond what a small colony would need. But the intelligence reports showed only minor settlements on Luna and Mars. Nothing that would generate this much energy. "Mark it for further investigation," he decided. "For now, we maintain position and monitor the swarm's approach." He looked down at the blue planet again. City lights were visible on the night side. Billions of humans going about their lives. Schools were opening. Markets were operating. Transportation networks hummed with activity. There was no panic, no mass evacuation, no desperate preparations. Either the humans were incredibly brave, or they truly did not comprehend what was coming for them. Vexthor suspected it was the latter. They had never faced a threat like the Devourer swarm. They had never watched worlds die. In 72 hours, they would learn. And Vexthor's fleet would do everything possible to save whoever they could from the coming darkness. He only hoped some humans would survive long enough to accept rescue. The Devourer swarm entered the outer solar system exactly when Vexthor's sensors predicted. They emerged from dark space near Neptune's orbit like a spreading plague, millions of biomechanical organisms moving with terrible purpose toward the inner planets, toward Earth. "All ships to battle stations," Vexthor commanded. His fleet of 30 coalition warships moved into defensive formation. "Prepare to engage the moment they enter maximum weapons range." Tactical Officer Kale studied the sensor data with growing horror. "Commander, the swarm is larger than any we have encountered before. Estimated count is over 300 million individual units, and there is something at the center, a much larger structure." Vexthor examined the readings. Kyle was right. The massive concentration of swarm biomass at the formation's core was unlike anything in Coalition records. This was not just an attack force. This was an extinction fleet. "Contact Earth immediately," Vexthor ordered. "They must evacuate now. We cannot hold against numbers like this for long." Park Ji-won appeared on the view screen again. She was in a different location now. Behind her, Vex Thor could see other humans working at various stations. It looked like some kind of command center, but the technology visible in the background was unfamiliar. "Commander Vex Thor," Park Ji-won greeted him. "I assume you are calling about the incoming swarm?" "Representative Park, you must begin evacuation procedures immediately," Vex Thor said urgently. "The swarm is 3 times larger than normal attack forces. My fleet will buy you whatever time we can, but it will not be enough. Please, save whoever you can." "Commander, I appreciate your dedication to protecting Earth," Park Ji-won replied. Her voice remained infuriatingly calm. "However, as I mentioned before, we have protocols for this situation." "Protocols?" Vex Thor's crest rose in alarm. "What protocols could possibly help against this?" Park Ji-won glanced to her side. Another human stepped into the frame. This one wore a military uniform with various insignia. He was older than Park Ji-won, with gray hair and sharp eyes that assessed Vex Thor in a single glance. "Commander Vex Thor, I am Captain Choi Min-seo of Earth Defense Command," the man said. His tone was professional and direct. "I need to inform you that your fleet is currently positioned in an active defense zone. I strongly recommend pulling back to a minimum safe distance of 1 million kilometers. Captain Choi, with respect, the only danger here is the swarm," Vex Thor responded. "My ships are here to defend your planet." "We understand your intentions," Choi Min-seo said, "but you do not understand our capabilities. Representative Park, please transmit the historical data to Commander Vex Thor." Vex Thor received the data stream. Kale moved to his station to analyze it. The young Zentari's head tentacles stiffened as he read through the information. "Commander," Kale said quietly, "according to this data, Earth has encountered the Devourer swarm before. Twice. Once 47 years ago, and again 17 years ago." "That is impossible," Vex Thor stated flatly. "The Coalition has records of every swarm attack. Earth was never mentioned." "That is because we handled it quietly, Commander," Park Ji-won explained. A small smile touched her lips. Both previous swarms were eliminated before they could transmit distress signals back to their origin point. The bridge fell silent. Every Coalition officer stared at their screens in disbelief. Eliminated? The Devourer swarm? No species in galactic history had eliminated a swarm attack. They survived through evacuation or died trying to fight. Those were the only 2 options. "You are lying," Vex Thor said, though doubt crept into his voice. "Or you are confused about what attacked you. Perhaps it was a different threat." Choi Min-seo's expression hardened. "Commander, I was personally present during the second incursion. I watched those things die. We studied their remains. We know exactly what they are and where they come from." "Then why does the Coalition have no record of these attacks?" Kale demanded. "Because we did not want the galaxy to know," Park Ji-won answered simply. "Earth learned a long time ago that appearing weak has strategic advantages. If the galaxy thinks we are primitive and defenseless, they make assumptions about us. Incorrect assumptions." Vex Thor felt something cold settle in his chest. He looked at the peaceful blue planet on his view screen. Suddenly, Earth seemed much less helpless than he had believed. "What exactly are you saying, Representative?" he asked carefully. "I am saying that humanity has been preparing for external threats since before we made official contact with the Galactic Coalition," Park Ji-won replied. "We have studied the dangers of this galaxy very carefully. The Devourer swarm is a known threat. We have countermeasures in place." "Show me," Vex Thor demanded. Choi Min-seo typed something on a console. "Very well. Initiating Phase 1 defense grid. All personnel, begin activation sequence." At first, nothing seemed to happen. Then Kyle gasped. "Commander, sensors are detecting massive energy buildups across Earth's orbital space. Luna is generating power levels equivalent to a Class 5 fusion reactor. Mars shows similar readings. Multiple asteroid belt objects are also activating." Vexthor pulled up the sensor display. His eyes widened in shock. Earth's moon was not just a natural satellite. It was a weapons platform. The entire surface was covered in concealed defensive systems that were now powering up. Energy signatures blazed across his sensors like 1,000 suns igniting at once. Mars was the same. What appeared to be a barely colonized planet was actually a fortress. Massive hangar doors opened across the Martian surface. Thousands of objects began emerging from underground facilities. "Are those warships?" Kale whispered. They were. Sleek vessels of unknown design poured out of Mars like insects from a disturbed hive. They moved with perfect coordination, forming complex defensive patterns around Earth. Their hull designs were unlike anything in Coalition databases. "The asteroids, too," someone called out. "They are not asteroids at all. They are mobile defense platforms." Vexthor watched in stunned silence as humanity's true defensive capability revealed itself. The entire inner solar system was a weaponized fortress. Every major celestial body had been converted into a military installation. The level of engineering required for such construction was staggering. "How long?" Vexthor asked hoarsely. "How long have you been building this?" "Approximately 800 years. Choi Min-seo replied casually. "We started shortly after we discovered evidence of the swarm's existence in ancient structures on Earth. When we learned the galaxy was dangerous, we decided to prepare appropriately." 800 years? Kale repeated in disbelief. "But your species only achieved spaceflight 200 years ago. That is what the Coalition records show." Park Ji-won's smile grew slightly wider. "Those records show when we chose to make our spaceflight public to the galaxy. We have been exploring our solar system for much longer than that. We simply did it quietly. We learned. We prepared. We waited." "You deceived us," Vexthor said. There was no anger in his voice, only a strange respect mixed with unease. "You deceived the entire galaxy." "We protected ourselves," Park Ji-won corrected gently. "There is a difference, Commander. We never lied about our capabilities. We simply did not volunteer information about them. When the galaxy looks at humanity, they see what we choose to show them." The Devourer swarm crossed into the orbit of Uranus. They would reach Earth's defensive perimeter in less than an hour. Choi Min-seo studied a tactical display, his expression serious. "Commander Vexthor, I recommend your fleet withdraw to the coordinates Representative Park provided," he said. "The engagement is about to begin, and we cannot guarantee your ships will not be caught in our defensive fire patterns." Vexthor looked at his crew. They all watched him, waiting for orders. Part of him wanted to withdraw, to protect his people from whatever was about to happen, but his honor demanded he stay. The Coalition did not abandon those in need, even if those in need were far more capable than they appeared. "We will maintain position," Vexthor declared. "If Earth falls, the Coalition fleet will provide cover for evacuation." "If Earth falls," Choi Min-seo repeated. For the first time, the human captain smiled. It was not a pleasant expression. "Commander, Earth has never fallen. Not in our entire history. Every invader who has tried to conquer us has learned the same lesson." "What lesson?" Kale asked. Choi Min-seo's smile sharpened. "That humans do not lose on our home ground." The Devourer swarm reached Saturn's orbit and accelerated. 300 million biomechanical horrors pushing forward like a living tide of destruction. Their collective hunger radiated across sensor arrays. They had consumed worlds. They would consume Earth. Vexthor watched the approaching mass on his tactical display. Despite his shock at Earth's hidden defenses, cold fear still gripped his hearts. Numbers mattered in warfare. The swarm had overwhelming numbers. How could any defense stop them all? "Human vessels are moving into position," Kyle reported. counting 4,200 warships. They are forming a spherical defensive perimeter at Jupiter's orbit. 4,000 ships sounded impressive until compared to 300 million swarm organisms. Each swarm unit was the size of a small vessel and just as deadly. The mathematics were brutal. Every human ship would need to destroy over 70,000 targets to win. Earth Defense Command is transmitting tactical data to our fleet, the communications officer announced. They are asking if we want to coordinate our efforts. Accept the data link, Vexthor ordered. He needed to see how humans planned to fight impossible odds. Information flooded into coalition systems. Vexthor studied the tactical overview and his crest rose in confusion. The human battle plan made no sense. Their ships were not concentrating fire. Instead, they spread out in a loose formation with massive gaps between vessels. Any military academy student would recognize this as suicide. The swarm would pour through those gaps and overwhelm individual ships. Captain Choi, your formation has significant vulnerabilities, Vexthor transmitted to Earth. My tactical officer can recommend... Unnecessary, Commander, Choi Min-seo interrupted. Please observe. Weapons free in 30 seconds. The human ships began charging their weapons. Energy signatures spiked across Vexthor's sensors, but these readings were wrong. Impossible. Individual vessels were generating power levels that should require a planetary reactor core. A single human destroyer was producing more energy than Vexthor's flagship. What are we detecting? Vexthor demanded. Unknown weapon types, Kale replied, his head tentacles writhing in agitation. The energy patterns do not match any known coalition technology. They are not plasma weapons, not particle beams, not fusion warheads. I do not know what they are. Weapons free, Choi Min-seo's voice transmitted across all channels. Fire at will. The human fleet opened fire, and reality itself seemed to scream. Vexthor had seen many weapons in his military career. Plasma cannons that could melt through battle armor, kinetic accelerators that punched through capital ship hulls, nuclear devices that turned ships to vapor. He thought he understood warfare. He understood nothing. The first human weapon hit the swarm formation, and gravity went insane. Space twisted. Swarm organisms compressed into a point of infinite density, then simply ceased to exist. Hundreds of thousands vanished in an instant. Not destroyed. Erased. Gravitational shear weapon, a human voice transmitted calmly over the tactical channel. Effective range, 50,000 kilometers. Recharge time, 12 seconds. Another human ship fired. This time, the effect was different. A sphere of absolute darkness expanded through the swarm. Everything it touched aged rapidly and fell apart. Metal corroded. Biological components rotted. In seconds, millions of swarm organisms became dust and scattered particles. Localized entropy field, the same calm voice reported. Effective range, 30,000 kilometers. Recharge time, 18 seconds. A third weapon activated. Swarm organisms simply disappeared. They did not explode or burn or disintegrate. They were in one location, then suddenly they were somewhere else. Vexthor's sensors detected them reappearing inside Jupiter's crushing atmosphere. Quantum displacement torpedo, the human operator continued. Effective range, 80,000 kilometers. Recharge time, 25 seconds. The Coalition bridge crew watched in absolute silence. Weapon after weapon fired from the human fleet. Each one violated everything they understood about physics and warfare. Gravity weapons, temporal distortions, matter displacement, things that should not be possible but were happening before their eyes. The swarm died by the millions. Their numbers dropped rapidly as human weapons carved through their formation, but they kept coming. They adapted, changed. The swarm's collective intelligence learned from each attack and adjusted their approach patterns. They are spreading out, Kale observed, trying to minimize the impact of area effect weapons. Human ships are adjusting targeting patterns, the communications officer reported. Their coordination is perfect. No wasted shots. Every weapon hits a target cluster. Vexthor realized something astonishing. The gaps in the human formation were deliberate. They were fire zones. The humans had positioned their ships to create overlapping fields of fire with no dead space. Any swarm organism that tried to slip through the gaps would be caught in a crossfire from multiple directions. It was brilliant. It was terrifying. "Commander, incoming transmission from Earth Defense Command," the communications officer announced. "Captain Choi wants to speak with you." Choi Min-seo appeared on the view screen. Behind him, Vexthor could see a massive command center. Hundreds of humans worked at stations, coordinating the defense. The facility itself was clearly underground, carved from solid rock. "Commander Vexthor, thank you for staying," Choi said. "I want to ask you something important. How many times has the swarm attacked in the past 200 years? 47 confirmed attacks, Vexthor answered. Why? And the Coalition has detailed records of each attack, locations, dates, casualties? Of course, the Coalition keeps thorough documentation. Choi nodded slowly. We need that data, Commander. We have been tracking the swarm for centuries, but our information is incomplete. With the Coalition's records, we can complete the pattern analysis. Pattern analysis? Kale asked. What pattern? A new voice joined the conversation. An older human woman appeared next to Choi on the screen. She wore a white coat and had gray hair pulled back in a bun. Her eyes were sharp and intelligent. I am Dr. Yoon Hae-jin, Earth's chief xenobiologist, she introduced herself. Commander, the Devourer swarm is not a natural phenomenon. It was created, engineered. We have been studying captured specimens from our previous encounters. Studying them? Vexthor repeated in shock. You captured swarm organisms alive? Of course, Dr. Yoon replied as if this were obvious. How else could we understand them? Through our research, we have learned the swarm operates under specific directives. They are not mindless. They follow commands from a central intelligence. We have theorized this for years, Kale said excitedly. But we could never prove it. The swarm always destroys all evidence when they retreat. They do not retreat, Dr. Yoon corrected. They complete their mission and return to their origin point. We believe that origin point is somewhere in this region of space. With Coalition data on all 47 attacks, we can triangulate the exact location. Vexthor's mind raced. You want to find where the swarm comes from? We want to eliminate the source, Choi Min-seo stated flatly. Earth does not accept ongoing threats. We end them permanently. That is insane, Vexthor protested. No one attacks the swarm at their home base. We do not even know what kind of force produces them. Then it is time we found out, Choi replied. Commander, will the Coalition share their attack data with us? Vexthor looked at Kale. The young tactical officer's head tentacles quivered with a mixture of fear and excitement. Attacking the swarm at their source had never been attempted. It was considered impossible. Suicide. But he had also thought defending against the swarm was impossible. The humans had proven that assumption wrong with overwhelming force. What else might they prove possible? Transmit all swarm encounter data to Earth Defense Command, Vexthor ordered. Everything we have. Thank you, Commander, Choi said. Then he paused. There is one more thing. We could use the Coalition's help with this mission. Your ships, your experience with the swarm across multiple engagements. Would you be willing to join our counter-strike force? Vexthor felt his warriors' hearts beating faster. This was what he had trained for, not running from threats, not evacuating populations, fighting, ending dangers permanently so others would be safe. The Coalition does not run from its responsibilities, Vexthor declared. We will stand with Earth against this threat. On the view screen, Captain Choi smiled. It was a warrior's smile. Good, because the swarm is adapting faster than previous encounters. We will need every advantage. As if responding to his words, alarms blared across the coalition bridge. The swarm had changed tactics. They stopped trying to reach Earth directly. Instead, they converged on the human defensive line with concentrated force, millions of organisms sacrificing themselves to overwhelm specific points. "They are learning," Kale reported with growing concern, "analyzing our defensive pattern and targeting weak points." "Human fleet is holding," the communications officer said. "But casualties are increasing. 3 human destroyers have been destroyed." Vexthor watched the battle data scroll across his screen. The humans were winning, but the cost was rising. And somewhere behind this massive attack force, an intelligence was watching, learning, preparing to strike harder. The battle for Earth continued for 6 hours, 6 brutal hours of continuous combat. The swarm threw waves of organisms against the human defensive line. Each wave died by the millions, but each wave also learned, adapted, became harder to kill. Vexthor watched his tactical displays with growing respect and growing dread. Human ships fought with devastating efficiency. Their exotic weapons carved through swarm formations like knives through flesh. But the swarm's adaptation rate was unprecedented. They began using debris as shields. They coordinated attacks to overwhelm single vessels. They targeted weapon systems with suicide runs. "Human casualties are at 11%, Kyle reported grimly. "They have lost 462 vessels. The swarm has lost approximately 230 million organisms." Simple mathematics told the outcome. At current rates, the humans would win, but they would pay a terrible price. And something bothered Vexthor about the swarm's behavior. They were adapting too quickly, learning too efficiently, almost as if they wanted to learn human capabilities. "Commander, incoming priority transmission from Earth Defense Command," the communications officer announced. Captain Choi Min-seo appeared on screen. The human officer looked tired but determined. Behind him, the command center buzzed with activity. "Commander Vexthor, Dr. Yoon has completed the preliminary analysis," Choi said without preamble. "We need to speak with you immediately. Can you join us aboard the Indomitable Spirit? It is our command vessel currently holding position near lunar orbit." Vexthor considered briefly. Leaving his flagship during combat was irregular, but the humans were handling the battle effectively, and something in Choi's tone suggested this was critical. "I will take a shuttle immediately," Vexthor replied. "Kale, you have command. Maintain defensive position and coordinate with the human fleet." The young Zentari's head tentacles straightened with pride. "Yes, Commander. Stay safe." Vexthor traveled to the human vessel with a small security detail. As his shuttle approached the Indomitable Spirit, he got his first close look at human military architecture. The ship was enormous, easily twice the size of his flagship. Its hull was covered in armor that absorbed sensor scans. Weapon ports dotted the surface like the scales of some massive predator. The shuttle bay was immaculate. Human crew members worked with practiced efficiency, directing arriving vessels and departing patrols. They wore dark blue uniforms with various insignia. Many glanced at Vexthor with curiosity, but none stopped their work. Captain Choi met him personally at the airlock. "Thank you for coming, Commander. Please follow me to the strategy room." They walked through corridors that hummed with power. Vexthor noted details as they passed. The human ship was not just large. It was sophisticated. Technology integrated seamlessly into every surface. Environmental controls maintained perfect atmosphere. The artificial gravity felt completely natural. "Your vessel is impressive," Vexthor commented. "She is our newest model," Choi replied with obvious pride. "Built in the Mars shipyards, the Indomitable Spirit incorporates 800 years of human military development." They entered a large conference room. A holographic display dominated the center, showing a 3-dimensional map of local space. Dr. Yoon Hai-jin stood beside it, manipulating data with practiced gestures. Park Ji-won was also present, along with several other human officers. "Commander Vex Thor, welcome," Dr. Yoon greeted him. "I wanted to thank you personally for the coalition data. It has confirmed our hypothesis." She gestured at the holographic display. Points of light appeared throughout the map. Each one represented a swarm attack from coalition records. Lines connected them in complex patterns. "What are we looking at?" Vex Thor asked. "A pattern," Dr. Yoon explained. "The swarm does not attack randomly. Each incursion follows a specific route. They emerge from dark space, attack their target, then return to dark space along the same vector. By tracing these vectors backward, we can identify their origin point." The lines converged in the display. All 47 attacks, all the paths, all the vectors pointed to a single location. It was shockingly close to Earth, within the same spiral arm of the galaxy. "The Kuiper Belt," Vex Thor read from the display. "The edge of your solar system?" "Specifically, a dimensional pocket hiding within the Kuiper Belt," Dr. Yoon corrected. "We detected it 3 hours ago using our quantum scanning array. The swarm's central intelligence is not in some distant galaxy. It has been right here. At Earth's doorstep." Silence fell over the room. Vex Thor felt his crest flatten in shock. The source of the galaxy's greatest terror had been hiding in Earth's own system? For how long? "That explains the adaptation rate," Choi Min-seo said grimly. "They are not just learning from this battle. They have been watching Earth for a long time, studying us, waiting." "Waiting for what?" one of the human officers asked. "For us to reveal our full capabilities," Park Ji-won answered. Her expression was troubled. "The swarm could have attacked Earth decades ago when our defenses were weaker. Instead, they waited. They watched the coalition respond to this incursion. They are gathering intelligence on both our species." Vex Thor understood immediately. "This is a probing attack. They are testing our combined response to assess future threat levels." "Exactly," Dr. Yoon confirmed, "which means we cannot let them report back. We must strike at their core intelligence before they can transmit what they have learned." "How do you propose we do that?" Vex Thor demanded. "We are still fighting their attack force here. We cannot divide our strength." "Earth's defensive systems can handle the remaining swarm units," Choi stated confidently. "Our Luna platforms have not even activated yet. Mars has reserve fleets that are still docked. We have been holding back our full capability to avoid revealing everything." "You have more weapons?" Vex Thor asked in disbelief. Choi smiled slightly. "Commander, what you have seen today is approximately 40% of Earth's defensive capacity. We always maintain reserves. It is a fundamental principle of human military strategy." "But you need our help for the counter-strike mission," Park Ji-won added. "Not because you lack firepower, but because you have experience fighting the swarm in different environments. Your tactical knowledge across multiple engagements is invaluable." Dr. Yoon pulled up new data. "The dimensional pocket is heavily shielded. We can breach it, but we do not know what defenses wait inside. Coalition ships have engaged the swarm in various contexts. Your adaptability and combat experience will be essential." Vex Thor looked at the humans gathered in the room. They were not asking for charity. They were not begging for help. They were offering a partnership, an alliance between equals to eliminate a mutual threat. His warriors' hearts swelled with respect. This was how warfare should be conducted, not through submission or dominance, but through cooperation between capable forces. "The coalition will provide ships and personnel," Vex Thor declared. "But I have a condition. My tactical officer, Kale, must participate in the planning. His analytical skills are exceptional." "Agreed," Choi said immediately. "We want as many perspectives as possible. The swarm intelligence has consumed 47 civilizations. It has learned from each one. We need to be smarter." "When do we strike?" Vex Thor asked. Dr. Yoon checked her data. The quantum tracer is fully charged. We can breach the dimensional pocket in 4 hours. The strike force should consist of ships built for close combat and boarding operations. We need to get inside their core facility and physically destroy the prime intelligence. Boarding operations, one of the human officers repeated. Against the swarm? Against their creator, Dr. Yoon corrected. Whatever intelligence designed and controls the swarm will have its own defenses. We must be prepared for anything. Choi Min-seo looked at Vexthor. Commander, are you certain your people want to participate in this? It will be extremely dangerous. We are essentially attacking the unknown. Vexthor's crest rose proudly. Captain, the Coalition has spent 200 years running from the swarm, evacuating populations, watching civilizations die. You are offering us a chance to finally fight back, to end this threat permanently. My warriors will volunteer gladly. Then we have 4 hours to prepare, Choi announced. Let us make them count. As the planning session began, Vexthor realized something profound. He had come to Earth expecting to find a primitive species needing rescue. Instead, he had found partners who had been preparing for this battle for centuries, partners who turned impossible challenges into achievable missions. The galaxy had underestimated humanity. The swarm had underestimated humanity. Both mistakes would prove fatal. Outside the conference room, the battle continued. Human defensive platforms activated across Earth's moon. Luna revealed its true nature as a weapons platform designed to protect the home world. Massive cannons emerged from concealed positions. Energy shields activated. The dormant satellite became an active fortress. The swarm's attack force encountered Earth's second defensive line and died in waves. Their adaptation meant nothing against the overwhelming firepower of a fully mobilized human defense grid, and deep in the Kuiper Belt, hidden in a dimensional pocket, an ancient intelligence watched the battle and calculated. It had observed many species, consumed many civilizations, but these humans were different. The prime intelligence decided it needed more data. It would send another probe force, a larger one, better adapted. It did not yet realize that the humans were coming for it. The combined strike force assembled near Neptune's orbit. 20 human vessels and 15 coalition ships formed a tight formation. They were the best of both fleets, fast, heavily armed, built for close combat and boarding operations. Vexthor stood on the bridge of the Indomitable Spirit at Captain Choi's invitation. His own flagship remained at Earth under Kale's command, coordinating mop-up operations against the remaining swarm forces. The young Zentari had performed excellently. Vexthor felt proud. Quantum breach generator is charged, Dr. Yoon reported from her station. She had joined the mission personally, explaining that scientific knowledge would be essential. Coordinates locked on the dimensional pocket, ready to open a passage on your command, Captain. Choi Min-seo studied his tactical display. Around him, human and coalition crew members worked side by side. The integration had happened smoothly. Warriors from different species united by a common purpose. All ships report ready, the communications officer announced. Strike force is in position. One more thing before we proceed, Choi said. He activated the ship-wide communication system. All hands, this is Captain Choi. In approximately 30 seconds, we will breach into unknown territory. We are going to face the intelligence that has terrorized the galaxy for centuries. We do not know what awaits us inside. We do not know if we will all return. He paused, letting his words sink in. But I do know this. Every species that has encountered the devourer swarm has run from them, has feared them, has accepted them as an inevitable disaster. Today we change that. Today we show the galaxy that some threats can be ended permanently. Today we fight not just for Earth or the Coalition, but for every civilization that has fallen to this menace, for every world that has burned, for every species that has been consumed. Choi's voice hardened with determination. The swarm thinks it can adapt to anything. It thinks it is invincible. Let us teach it the most important lesson humanity has learned throughout our violent history. There is no threat that cannot be defeated by those with the courage to fight and the intelligence to plan. All ships, prepare for breach. Vexthor felt his warriors' hearts pounding. This was the moment that defined careers, lives, legacies. He looked at the mixed crew around him, humans and Crithians and Zentari working together, different species, different worlds. One purpose. Initiating quantum breach, Dr. Yoon announced. 3, 2, 1, breach active. Reality tore open before them. A wound in space, revealing the dimensional pocket beyond. The strike force accelerated forward and plunged through. The dimensional pocket was vast, much larger than sensor data suggested, and it was not empty. Mother of stars, Vexthor whispered. At the pocket's center floated a structure of impossible size. It was part machine, part organic matter, part something else entirely. Ancient technology that predated any known civilization. Structures that bent space around themselves. Power readings that made Earth's weapons seem primitive by comparison. And surrounding the central structure were swarm organisms, billions of them, not the attack forces that raided planets, the manufacturing facilities, the breeding grounds, the true source of the galaxy's nightmare. The prime intelligence, Dr. Yoon identified. That central structure, it is generating control signals for all swarm organisms, and it is old, extremely old, possibly millions of years. All ships, combat formation, Choi ordered calmly. Focus fire on the central structure. Ignore the swarm units unless they directly engage us. The strike force opened fire. Human and coalition weapons struck the prime intelligence's shields. Energy barriers flared bright, absorbing the attacks. But cracks appeared. The shields were strong but not invincible. The swarm responded immediately. Billions of organisms converged on the strike force like a living tide. They moved with perfect coordination, each unit part of a larger whole. Defensive fire, all weapons, Vexthor commanded the coalition ships. Protect the human vessels. They have the firepower to breach the shields. The battle became chaos. Ships maneuvered through clouds of swarm organisms. Weapons fired in every direction. Explosions lit up the dimensional pocket like a new sun. Coalition vessels formed a protective screen, while human ships concentrated their exotic weapons on the prime intelligence. Shields are failing, Dr. Yoon reported. But their energy output is increasing. I think the prime intelligence is diverting power from other systems to reinforce the shields. What systems? Choi asked sharply. Unknown. But, wait. Dr. Yoon pulled up new sensor data. Commander Vexthor, can you confirm these readings? Vexthor studied the data his science officer was receiving. His crest rose in alarm. Those are weapon signatures. Extremely powerful weapon signatures. The prime intelligence is arming itself. The massive structure began to glow. Energy built up across its surface. Whatever weapons it possessed were charging to fire, and given its size and power, those weapons could destroy the entire strike force. We need to breach those shields now, Choi stated. All human vessels, concentrate all firepower on a single point. Create an opening. Captain, even if we breach the shields, we still need to destroy the core intelligence, Park Ji-won pointed out. She had joined the mission to provide tactical coordination. The structure is too large. We cannot destroy it fast enough with external weapons. Then we go inside, Choi decided. Boarding teams, just like we planned. The prime intelligence is preparing to fire, a tactical officer warned. 30 seconds to weapon activation. Keep hitting those shields, Choi ordered. Dr. Yoon, analysis. What is the prime intelligence? The xenobiologist worked rapidly, pulling data from multiple sensors. It is artificial, a creation of some ancient civilization. The technology signature matches artifacts we have found on Earth. The same civilization that left ruins in our solar system billions of years ago. Vexthor felt understanding click into place. The same civilization that humanity's advanced technology is based on? Yes, Dr. Yoon confirmed. Long ago, an extremely advanced species existed in this region of space. They created the prime intelligence to serve them, but something went wrong. The intelligence turned on its creators, consumed them. Then it continued consuming, following its original programming without understanding why. What programming? Park Ji-won asked. Expansion, Dr. Yoon answered grimly. The prime intelligence was designed to expand its creator's civilization, to spread across the galaxy. But without the creators to guide it, the programming became corrupted. It started consuming instead of building. The shields collapsed. Human weapons punched through the energy barriers and struck the prime intelligence's hull. Armor plating shattered. Internal structures became exposed. But the massive entity continued charging its weapons. "Boarding parties, go!" Choi commanded. "We need to reach the core and shut it down manually. Dr. Yoon, where is the control center?" "Transmitting coordinates now," Dr. Yoon replied. "But Captain, I need to tell you something. The Prime Intelligence's original creators built a failsafe, a shutdown mechanism in case something went wrong." "Can we activate it?" Vexthor demanded. "Yes, but it requires multiple species to input simultaneously," Dr. Yoon explained. The creators believed in cooperation. They designed their failsafe to only work if different civilizations agreed to use it, a safeguard against any single species abusing the technology. Choi smiled grimly. "Then it is fortunate we brought a diverse strike force. Commander Vexthor, gather representatives from each coalition species. I will lead the human team. We board together." "Understood," Vexthor agreed. "My warriors are ready." The boarding shuttles launched. They crossed the distance between the ships and the prime intelligence, while weapons fire filled the space around them. Swarm organisms tried to intercept. Coalition ships provided covering fire. Human vessels continued bombardment on the prime intelligence's weapons systems. Vexthor's shuttle breached the prime intelligence's hull and crashed into an internal corridor. The corridor was massive, built for beings much larger than any current galactic species. Ancient machinery lined the walls, still functioning after millions of years. "This way," Dr. Yoon guided them through her remote connection. "The control center is 3 levels down. You have approximately 5 minutes before the prime intelligence finishes charging its primary weapon." The boarding teams moved through the ancient facility. They encountered internal defenses, automated systems that tried to stop them, security drones that attacked with weapons technology millennia ahead of anything the galaxy currently used. But the combined force adapted. Coalition shields protected against energy weapons. Human assault troops disabled the drones with electromagnetic pulses. Different species, different capabilities, working together. They reached the control center. It was a vast chamber filled with holographic displays showing data streams beyond comprehension. And at the center stood a terminal, simple, elegant, clearly designed for multiple users. "The failsafe," Dr. Yoon confirmed. "I am transmitting the activation sequence. It requires input from at least 5 different species simultaneously." Vexthor approached the terminal with Choi and representatives from 3 other coalition species. They placed their hands on the interface points. The terminal scanned their biology, confirmed they were different species, waited for the command. 2 minutes to weapon activation, someone reported over the communication link. "The Prime Intelligence is targeting Earth." Choi looked at Vexthor. "Whatever happens after this, Commander, it has been an honor fighting beside you." "The honor is mine, Captain," Vexthor replied sincerely. Together they activated the failsafe. The Prime Intelligence screamed, not with sound but with a burst of electromagnetic energy that rattled through every system. The ancient facility shuddered. Lights flickered. Power systems began shutting down in sequence. "It is working," Dr. Yoon transmitted excitedly. "The failsafe is initiating a complete shutdown. The Prime Intelligence is deactivating." Outside, the swarm organisms stopped moving. Billions of biomechanical creatures simply went dormant simultaneously. Without the Prime Intelligence to control them, they were nothing but inert matter. The strike force emerged from the dimensional pocket victorious. Behind them, the ancient facility powered down completely. The threat that had terrorized the galaxy for centuries was ended. Captain Choi contacted Earth. "Earth Defense Command, this is the Indomitable Spirit. Mission accomplished. The Prime Intelligence has been shut down permanently. The swarm is neutralized." Cheering erupted across communication channels, from Earth, from the Coalition fleet, from every ship that had participated in the battle. Vexthor stood beside Choi on the bridge as they returned to Earth. The planet looked even more beautiful now, a world that had faced extinction and refused to yield. "Commander, why did humanity hide for so long?" Vexthor asked quietly. "With your capabilities, you could have joined the Coalition centuries ago." "Let it." Choi considered the question. "Because leading was never our goal, Commander. We learned from the ruins we found on Earth. We learned that advanced civilizations make mistakes. They create threats they cannot control. They become arrogant. We chose patience instead. We prepared quietly. We waited for the right moment, the right allies." "And this was that moment?" Vexthor asked. "This was that moment," Choi confirmed. "We could have handled the swarm alone. But we chose to fight with you instead, because the galaxy does not need another dominant species. It needs partners, equals working together." Park Ji-won approached them, smiling. "The Coalition is officially requesting Earth's full membership, with voting rights and representation on the High Council." "As equals," Vexthor added. "Just as it should be." Choi accepted with a nod. "Then Earth is honored to join, and we look forward to building a better galaxy together." The news spread across the galaxy rapidly. Earth's defense of their world, the strike against the Prime Intelligence, the elimination of the Devourer swarm. Species that had feared the swarm for generations learned that the threat was gone. Ended by a species they had thought primitive. Humanity's true capabilities became known. But so did their wisdom. They had possessed overwhelming power, but chose to use it carefully. They had been able to dominate, but chose to partner instead. The galaxy would never underestimate Earth again. But more importantly, they would never face the Devourer swarm again. And that victory belonged not just to humanity, but to every species that had fought together in the dimensional pocket. Sometimes, the greatest strength is not showing all your power. Sometimes, the greatest victory is not defeating your enemies, but turning them into allies. Earth had learned these lessons well, and now they would teach them to the galaxy.